Hey guys. Okay, welcome to Reading Workshop this week. This week the text that we're going to read is called a procedural text. Procedural text. And what that means is it's going to be a story that's going to tell us what to do. A procedural text tells us what to do. It tells us, it explains how to do something. It usually includes directions, okay, or steps to follow. So a procedural text tells us what to do. It explains how to do something. So I have a sample right here. Right here is kind of like a map of what a procedural text should look like or what things it should include, okay? So for example, a procedural text needs to have a title. So you'll see my title, From School to My House, okay? Remember, the title tells us what we're reading. It tells us what it is about. So if this is my procedural text and my title says From School to My House, then that tells me that I'm going to be reading directions on how to get from school to my house, okay? Procedural text has a sequence, words, or numbers. In my sample, I have numbers, and I underlined them in green, steps in order. So whenever you are reading a procedural text or you're writing one, you want to give your steps in order, okay? Then we have illustrations or photos. In the story we read this week, we're going to see the illustrations or photos. In my sample, I did not include an illustration, okay? And then action verbs. Action verbs tell us what to do. Remember, we learned last week that a verb we're doing something, okay? So my action verbs I underlined in blue. Verbs tell what to do. So I'm going to read my sample text to you. Again, this is a procedural text, okay? It says, From school to my house. Number 1, go out the front door. Number 2, turn right. Number 3, walk 3 blocks. Number 4, turn left. Number 5, go to the red house. So remember, a procedural text tells us what to do. So this was a procedural text. I was telling you how to go from school to my house. If I wanted to add an illustration to this, I could have added a map. I could have drawn a map that showed you where to go, okay? So this week's story is actually going to be about maps. So when we read this week's story, it's a procedural text. It's going to tell us how to create a map, okay, and what kinds of things that we should include in our maps. So it's important that we listen to the story. I'll have some questions for you after the story, but also at the end of this week, you are going to be creating your own map. So it's important that you learn from the procedural text that you're about to hear. Okay. So you're going to hop out of here, and I'm going to have you listen to this week's story, and then there's going to be some questions that go along with it. All right? So thanks for watching.